Good morning. Let's take a look at S&P 500 to start things off. We've got still hanging out at this top trend line here. Had our pretty straight up relentless rally that we've talked about here. Getting a little bit overcooked on the RSI as our early warning sign. MACD starting to form very early signs of some exhaustion, but still in the very early stages there. As we go down to the 4-hour, we can see we've broken through all these resistances on our way up here, and those are now turned into support. Broke through this trend line, through all-time highs, just everything. Nothing's been able to stop this move up. So here we've actually got a broken trend line on the 1-hour on the S&P. It looks a little bit different on the future side just because of the extended hours and things like that. A little bit different look, but potential first sign here we've had in weeks of this slowing down a little bit on this break here. So a little retest up here. Looks a little different too when you invert it. Looks pretty clear there. Coming into this trend line, breaking, retesting, and starting to form some consolidation right here. So it'll be interesting to see if we end up getting any downside or not. We do have a little bit of RSI and MACD divergence here as well on the S&P. So my post last week was really saying that I expect this to kind of bounce around between 700, 715 for a week or so. And that's what we've had so far for a week. And we'll see if we get that a little bit longer. It could look like something like this. I mean, this sat there for 6 months. I'm not necessarily expecting that, but we could see it sit here for a few weeks before we see any more downside. The biggest thing that we have going on this week is that we have earnings in pretty much every major company that's been driving the market, especially here on Wednesday. Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Alphabet, Qualcomm. And then Thursday, we've got Apple, SanDisk, Western Digital. So those are really the names that have driven this whole move up. So they need to sustain up here if this move is going to continue. So any sort of misstep by these guys, and the market's ready to retrace. There's a couple other interesting ones on this list here. Some names that we've alerted recently that we'll be keeping an eye on. We've got UPS. We've got CNC. Who else do we have on here? The Avis Budget Group is interesting. Chart, Humana. I think we sent out an alert for, we definitely sent one out for Enphase here. First Solar looks good. Estee Lauder's one that we've alerted. mRNA, LYB, and then we've got our energy names on Friday. So that'll be interesting with what's going on over there. Take a look at the oil charts. Really not a lot of movement this week. We're kind of at like a standstill with the war and what's going on. So just kind of ever since Wednesday, just hanging out in this range, not much happening, around $95. Still looking for this to make a run for this trend line here at 115. I own Gush, which is a 2x leverage oil and gas exploration and production. So this mirrors the price of oil pretty much, not exactly, but I did enter here on this trend line break around $35, up around 10% here. So ultimately looking for a target of 60 to 65. We've seen this specific pattern play out a lot lately in semiconductors and looking for this expanding triangle to play out in oil and gas with maybe even a 7 day dollar target on here as we get further down the road and this trend line expands. So the price of oil is only going up. The damage that's been done over there is pretty permanent and long lasting. So even some kind of short-term reopening is not going to completely release the relief valve on these. Dollar index, pretty big wick here into the weekend. Wants to retest this trend line again. So looking for this to break above 100 here soon. Bitcoin, as we predicted, we originally were looking for a rejection of this trend line and a move down to 50 to 60 to give us an entry. Now we want to see a rejection of this 80,000 area and come into this 68,000 area for a good entry to get long on Bitcoin. Same thing on Ethereum, exact same looking chart. Rejection of 2,500, entry of 2,000. That's where I'll be looking to get in heavily into Ethereum, using ETH, which is the 2x leveraged version of Ethereum. This can move really fast. I rode this last year from something like $30 to over 100. So that was a really nice move up for me. But looking for that same kind of entry here around maybe $20 with a target of 100 or so. Here on ES, we talked about kind of the difference between that look of SPY and ES. SPY is out of its channel, ES is not, because of those kind of time frame differences. So that's an interesting little divergence there. When you flip it upside down, could be a liquidity grab down here. Want to see this get below 7,100 to really get into its bearish mode. And then NASDAQ looks the exact same. That's rejecting here. I did see a really interesting whale option play related to tech that I'll show you in a second, but looking a little extended here. Same thing with SMH. This one's been the obvious blowout in the last week. Been the whole reason the market's up. Pretty much nothing but semiconductors is up in the last month. So huge move up from 360 to 515. Not really sure where this ends, but starting to run out of steam. We've got daily RSI of 85. We've got a weekly of 79. So it's really starting to get up there on SMH. Same thing with SOX. Different versions of the same industry. So we've got a little bit of MACD divergence here, super overcooked RSI. Same thing here. It's exact same looking chart outside of the trend lines. So we'll see if this runs out of steam here. It's been up, I think, 18 or 19 days in a row. As you can see, all green candles. So eventually that's going to come to a run. That run's going to come to an end. Russell's been outperforming. Dow's been underperforming. We've got Apple here losing steam a little bit at this trend line, kind of peaked its head above, starting to lose steam there. So that's interesting to see. Amazon arriving at trend line right now. So this is something I would be cautious about. Let me get this set. There we go. So should run out of steam about 275. Great place to take profits. Google forming that potential double top here. See if it can get a push through. Meta, this one's out of its trend line here. See if it runs out of steam. Microsoft has been really lagging. The IGV has been lagging, so Microsoft really lagging here. NVIDIA, monster push up with the rest of semis. And then Tesla has been kind of on its own schedule here, potentially building a bull flag here. Want to see this 360 level hold. We're bullish on this, so want to see that 360 level hold on Tesla. VIX hasn't gone anywhere in a month. Despite this massive rally up, the VIX is just been hanging out here since 414. So if we go back to 414, we're about right here. So the VIX is diverging and just stuck in this range here. So the one thing I did want to show you here on the super dashboard, we did have these calls come in for tech long ETF. So they're dated out to the next year, 150 calls. So this is a 3x ETF of the tech sector. It's things like Microsoft and Google and all that. So they're looking for this final push here into this 175. This is something we've seen a ton of in the tech sector. This is up 100% in just the last 1 month. So crazy move here on this, but it's going to run into resistance at 175. So when you look at things like the Qs, you've got this little gap here. It's got that final push up, probably through earnings. You'll see that final push up there into this last little space. And that's what this whale's looking for on tech L, that final push there. There's a lot of bullish stuff still in some semis, LRCX. And then we're starting to see a lot of bearish flow in semis too. TSM, AVGO, MU, Light. Ton of bearishness there.